The October 9th, 2018 regular meeting of the Mentor Exempted Village Board of Education is called to order. This meeting is being held in accordance with Section 3313.15 of the Ohio Revised Code. Mr. Wilson, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Buckley?
Present.
Ms. Jisling?
Present.
Mrs. Roberts?
Present.
Mr. Tuttle?
Here.
Mrs. Briner?
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please join me in a moment of silence for volleyball coach Steve Sherlocker. Thank you. I would like to welcome everyone to the October 9th, 2018 regular meeting of the Mentor Exempted Village Board of Education. Prior to this evening, each board member has received for their review and consideration the agenda and materials associated with each agenda item for the board's approval via the district's paperless Board of Education agenda system, Board Docs. The public can access the agenda through the school district's website. The agenda is available through the district's website for public viewing the Sunday prior to the board meeting. Board members have the opportunity to call the superintendent and chief financial officer for information concerning the agenda items and to request, if needed, additional information. There are two places on the agenda when the board entertains comments from the community. The first hearing of the public is dedicated to those who wish to address the board on agenda items only. The second hearing of the public is dedicated to those who wish to address the board on any subject, whether it is an item on the agenda or another issue. When addressing the board, please state your name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please address questions to the president. This meeting is being televised on a delayed basis and will be shown on Spectrum Cable, channel 1026 in Mentor, and channel 1025 in Mentor on the Lake. This meeting is also being videotaped and will be shown on our YouTube channel, Cardinal TV, Mentor, Ohio. Please place your mobile telephones on silent mode during the meeting. Thank you. And we'll have approval of minutes, June 28th, special board meeting.
So
Looks
moved.
like we had an amendment there.
Yes, and we apologize. We had an incorrect fund number and a transfer between two student activity funds, and we did correct that for the minutes. And there was a transposition of 2 of the digits in the street address for Brentmore in that resolution. So
Thank
we
you.
apologize for that and did correct.
Thank you for catching those. So we have June 28th special board meeting, regular meeting September 11th, and special board meeting on September 25th, or do we need to break those up?
No, we can all be together.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
I have to abstain for the September 25th meeting.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
And I'll abstain for the 25th as well. Next, hearing of the public on agenda items only. Anyone? Okay. Moving on to superintendent's report and recommendations. Mr. Porter?
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. I have the following recommendations listed under the consent agenda and recommend approval of items 5A1 through 5A4.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, I, along with Mr. Tuttle, would like to recognize our PTA and PTSA presidents. We all know the importance of parent involvement in our schools. For many years, the PTA has given endless hours of service to our students, staff, and community. We are very thankful to them for their many projects and their tireless dedication. This past year especially, with our strategic plan and building reorganization, they were absolutely instrumental in providing input and helping to chart our course into the future. At this time, we will individually recognize the PTA and PTSA parents who are here, and I would also invite, if we have the principal of that building here, to join your PTA or PTSA president as they come forward. From Bellflower Elementary tonight, Amy Tulinson. We have some things for you here.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks for all your great work. Thank you for your class. Good to see you.
As always, thank you.
And from Fairfax Elementary, Kelly Balin.
Don't forget that's one full of sugar. Thanks for all the great things you do. Thank you so much. Thanks.
And from our Hopkins PTA, Christine Henninger.
Two presidents in one.
Congratulations to you.
Don't forget
Look,
your
we're going
swag
to call you
bag.
back up here in a second.
Did that to be embarrassed.
Ms. Blackburn, come on up too. It should be noted, we won't make her come up a second time. Ms. Henninger is also Memorials PTA president as well, so she serves two of these posts.
She's on the library board of trustees. Hardest working woman in the city.
Thank you twice for all the great things you do.
Thank you, Christine. Appreciate everything. How you doing, Chris? Good to see you.
And I believe unable to make it here this evening, Lakes PTA President Danielle Overall. And from Orchard Hollow PTA, Param Weaver.
Mike, carry a picture there. Is that a little rough skirt? Of course. Thanks for calling. Good. How are you?
And from Ridges PTA, Michelle Godick.
Oh, I love it. I like that bag. It's cool.
Thank you.
Joe, thank you for all the great things you do.
Thank you, Michelle. Good seeing you again. Hey, Jody.
And I believe unable to join us this evening from Sterling Morton PTA, Rachel Tabone. Shore PTSA, Jennifer Seach.
Thank you for all the great things you do.
Thank you for all you do. Radiates positivity.
Unable to join us here tonight, our Mentor High School PTSA President, Mickey Pugh, and our Lake County Council President, who is a mentor parent as well, Taryn Winnie. Give a round of applause.
Puddle kids.
Once again, thank you to all of our PTA presidents who were here this evening. Madam President and members of the board, this evening we have first readings of revised policies. Because this is a first reading, no vote is necessary.
If I may comment on the first reading for the credit card policy, this is an update to our current policy based on a recent legislative change in the state of Ohio advocated for by the auditor of state, and is based on credit card abuses that have occurred in local governments over the past few years. I'm pleased to report that many of the safeguards that are embedded in our current board policy address the majority of those legislative mandates. It does go a little bit further in assigning responsibility and oversight to the credit card program, and we'll be bringing it back for a second reading. The maximum amount that may be incurred in any credit card transaction is $50,000. That's intended for those circumstances when a credit card's used to purchase goods or materials from a vendor, not for professional travel or personal expenses. We have individual limits we set based on historical use and in consultation with our superintendent for every card assigned throughout the district. And in those rare instances where we would go up to this limit, it would be a temporary increase in the limit and then immediately decrease back to the normal limit. So this will bring us in full compliance, add some additional safeguards to ensure the appropriate use of credit cards.
Thank you. Anything else on the first reading? No? Ready to go to the second reading?
Very good. Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, I am recommending approval of new policy 3.19.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Thank you. Madam President and members of the board, I am recommending approval of agenda items C1 related to certified personnel and C2 through C4, all related to human resource matters.
May we include the addendum also?
Yes, and that would include agenda addendum that was placed at the table upon your arrival this evening.
So moved. Sorry.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Thank you. This concludes my portion of tonight's agenda.
Thank you. Board of Education report and recommendations. Any business? None? Legislative report, Mr. Tuttle.
Thank you, Madam President. Possible changes coming to state graduation requirements. Efforts are underway to revise the state's high school graduation requirements. Currently, students must complete one of 3 pathways: attain a cumulative passing score on the state's 7 end-of-course exam, attain a remediation-free score on the SAT or ACT, or attain a passing score on the Work Keys test and also obtain an industry credential. Last year, many school districts reported that their seniors, the first class of students subject to the new requirements, were at risk of not graduating under those new graduation pathways. The legislature responded with a 1-year fix, allowing only the class of 2018 to graduate through an alternative pathway by completing other items like community service, capstone projects, or strong attendance rates. Amid more reports of students not on track to graduate under the current system, a panel of State Board of Education is set to submit recommendations this month that would overhaul the requirements. The proposal would shift from test proficiency to achievement in 5 specified content areas, based either on test performance, course completion, or a final project. The full body of the State Board of Education is expected to vote on the proposal either at its October or November meeting, during which time the legislature may consider enacting the recommendations. For your comments and input, fellow board members?
Do you know, Tom, or maybe Mr. Porter, you know whether they have, through the ODE, figured out more industry credentials that seem like such a wonderful idea, but because of age limitations and so many other strangleholds, I guess, on that plan, they didn't seem to have much of anybody actually graduating with industry credentials across the state.
No, there's a strong emphasis. There are a lot of people who want to see more of that. I think there's some wrestling going on with what does that exactly look like, so that it does not still water down quality or rigor, you know. But there is absolutely a push toward that. It's about expanding the options, so students can find their pathway even sooner if possible.
But they haven't really identified how that would look, any real detail.
It's not in detail.
Thanks.
Anything else?
That's it for my
Thank you, Mr. Tuttle.
topic today.
Moving on to Chief Financial Officer's report and recommendations. Mr. Wilson?
Yes, I recommend the approval of agenda items 7A through E. They are all regular monthly transactions, the monthly financial statements, the investment transaction ratification, some interfund transfers, appropriation modifications, and supplemental appropriations.
So moved?
Second?
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
That completes my report.
Thank you. Any unfinished business? Any new business?
Yes, I request that the board establish a special meeting date during the last week of October to review the 5-year forecast. We're nearing completion of the draft, and we'll be presenting it to the Finance Committee for review and recommendation to the board. As the board may recall, we have to adopt this by the end of October. There's been new law passed the beginning next year. We can wait until the end of November if necessary. I'm not sure we'll take advantage of the extra month, but for this year, I'm asking for a brief meeting to present the committee's recommendation and the forecast.
No.
What week are you looking at, Dan?
Yeah, the 31st falls on a Wednesday, Dan.
That's Halloween.
Yeah. Would,
Are you
That's not
talking
good.
that week or the week before?
would,
When will you be ready for us?
if Monday the 29th is possible, that will allow ample time for any scheduling conflicts with the Finance Committee members.
I can't do Mondays.
All right. What about Thursday, the 25th?
That works for me.
Works for me.
25th, how's that work for everybody? October 25th?
We do
How
5.
long's the meeting going to take, Dan?
Normally not more than a half hour, perhaps a little longer if there's discussion, but to review the Finance Committee's recommendation and the highlights of the forecast typically are about a 30-minute meeting.
Can we do a 5:30?
That always sounds better to me.
It's okay.
That work?
It's good. It's good.
You good?
Yes, we are.
5:30?
5-year forecast meeting.
Thank you very much.
Where will we meet?
In the Cardinal Room.
5:30 on the 25th of October in the Cardinal Room. Okay, anything else on that? All right, thank you. Any other new business? No? Now we'll have our second hearing of the public on any item.
Hi, my name is Valerie Brancala, and we have 2 sons at Ridge this year. And we started this year, we were at Andrews Osborne previously, so this is our first time dealing with Mentor schools. I guess we have some concerns about our experience at Ridge Elementary since we started here. So first of all, we were excited to join the school because we found out it was a brand-new school, it was going to have smaller class sizes. But now the school is over 800 students. So it was our understanding that it was going to be around 600 or 650 students. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but now it's over 800. The size of the classes are larger than we anticipated, especially the 3rd grade classes. Now, we don't have a son in 3rd grade, but we learned this year that there is a 3rd grade class that is one large class of 75 students, and that's very concerning to us. My older son, who's in 4th grade, is in the gifted program. He has been telling me that they meet in the hallway for his class, and when I asked the intervention specialist about this, she said this is a flexible learning space. When I asked her, is this in the hallway, she then sent me a picture, and it is actually in the hallway. So I have concerns about that there is no classroom space available for the gifted students and other students, it seems like, because there are a number of students in the hallway that meet with their teachers. I also have some concerns about the size of the special classes for my son who's in 1st grade, because the art classes, the music, the gym, they are a combination of several classes. So there are 50 plus students meeting at one time for these specials classes. I don't know if I've overrun my 3 minutes, but those are the gist of my concerns. So I am a biology professor at Case Western, so I am very familiar with the education system. I do study education and retention rates at Case, and I do know that there is a strong negative correlation between class sizes and student performance. And so I'm wondering why these decisions were made to make these, the school much larger than where these students came from, and these class sizes are also getting larger. Thank you.
Thank you for your concerns. Just a quick question. Have you spoken with the principals or the teachers at Ridge about your concerns?
Well, no, we just started the class, we just started this year, so like I said, this is our first experience with Mentor schools. This was the first meeting that I was aware that was available, so we came to this meeting and we came to the first PTA meeting. I did not yet have a chance to discuss this directly with the principals, but I did discuss my concerns with our son's teachers and with the intervention specialist.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll have someone get in touch with you then, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, can I ask one more question really quickly? So my understanding was that the combining of these schools was done, that would save $7 million. Is that right? The combining of the elementary schools and the combining of the middle schools? That over the course of 5 years, that will save $7 million?
That was the estimate.
Yeah. Is there a plan for that money? What what is planned with that money?
Consistent with one of our fiscal beliefs and Board of Education policies, we've incrementally adjusted the number of classrooms we've had to reflect overall declining enrollment, and that contributes to our ability to extend the useful life of tax levies the community supports, where the statewide average is about 4 years. Our last levy lasted 12 years because we did incrementally adjust both from an operational standpoint and building standpoint as enrollments change. So the initial plan is, and it has been built into our 5-year forecast to help extend the life of the levy before we have to ask the community for more support.
I guess I'm just, when I see my son meeting in the hallway for, his gifted program, that, I'm just wondering, is money going to be redirected to make more space available for actual classrooms for something like that? Or, so that you don't have to combine 2 groups of younger students into a specials class? Are these resources going to be redirected to avoid situations like that?
We do appreciate your concerns, and we'll have somebody follow up with you on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right. I will entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss compensation of public employees. Do we anticipate possibly a vote? No? Okay. So there won't be a vote after this.
So moved.
Do we have a motion? Second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes. Executive session. Thank you.